Are you tired of struggling with complex SQL queries and database management? If there is a brand new database management and development tool that supports multiple mainstream data sources like MySQL, Oracle, PostgreSQL, Hadoop, SQL Server, MongoDB, etc., and is built on a web-based integrated development environment where you can access it directly from your browser without any cumbersome installation process, while also providing a synchronized desktop client for users with different preferences, would you be interested in giving it a try? Now, let me introduce you a useful software, SQLynx. Opening your browser, search for MySQL software. First, you need to register on the website. Click on the top right corner to navigate to the registration page and complete the registration process. Once registered, log into your account. Click on Software Download and find the download page for SQLynx. Choose the version suitable for your operating system and download it. After downloading, locate the installation package on your computer and extract it. If you downloaded the macOS or Windows version, you can launch SQLynx by clicking on sqlynx.exe for Windows or sqlynx.dmg for macOS. If you downloaded the Linux version, you need to execute a command and then log in using the web interface. The default URL is localhost 18888. When upgrading the software, simply download the latest version package from the official MySQL software website, extract it, and start using it. There's no need to reconfigure data sources or user information. Let's take a look at how to use this database management tool. Launch SQLynx, and upon the initial login, the default username is MySQL, and the password can be set by the user. This password will be saved by the system as the login password for future use. If you want to change the password, you can do so in the Personal Center. If you forget the password, you can right-click the software icon on the taskbar to reset the password. This is the main window of SQLynx, which consists of the menu bar, navigation pane, information pane, and query editor. The interface is simple and beginners can quickly master it. Let's connect to a new data source. Click on the Settings button in the menu bar and choose Database Configuration. Click on the Add Data Source button and choose the desired data source type. Let's take MySQL as an example. Click on the MySQL icon and proceed to the next step. Enter the name and basic settings for this data source. If you need to add more property configurations of the cloud data source, you can add connection properties or driver properties under Advanced Settings. The values you need to add depend on the database type and version. You can refer to the JDBC documentation from the database's official website to obtain the relevant information. Once all the information is filled in, click on the Test button in the bottom. If an error pop-up appears, it means the data source cannot be accessed at the moment. Please check the database, network, or parameter settings. If a success pop-up appears, it means the data source has been successfully added. Click OK to confirm, and the new data source is now connected. Returning to the main window, you can see the navigation pane on the left side, designed in a tree-like structure. Below the search box, you will find all the successfully added data sources. Expanding a data source will reveal the databases, and expanding a database will show the tables, views, functions, procedures, and other objects. Let's take a look at how to create a new database and table. Right-click the data source, and you can see several functions on the menu, such as New Database, View Data Source, Filter, and Delete Data Source. Click the new database, enter the name of the database, set the character and collation. We can see the SQL statement on the SQL tab. Confirm that there is no problem, click Execute, and refresh it, and you can see the newly created database. Expand this database, right-click the table and choose the new object. You can create a new table. We can modify the table name from the default name. You can see the Detailed Properties tab of this table, columns, constraints, foreign keys, triggers, indexes, partitions, statistics, and DDL. Let's create a field for this table. Enter the Column tab and right-click the Add. The pop-up window is the detailed information of this field. We modify the following settings such as name and type, and then we can add a few columns like this, and save it. Enter the Constraint tab. We can create a primary key for the table. We specify ID as a unique value, and save it. Such a new table is created. Of course, after creation, we can continue to add, modify, or delete the fields of this table. Now we see that there is no data in this table. We have several ways to add data into this table. The first method is to click the Data tab, right-click to add, and fill in sequentially according to the set table structure. Click to execute the insert, and you can also see the corresponding SQL statement. Click Execute, and a row of data is created. And then, we can add new data or modify existing data as needed. Click the Edit button to modify this row. The second method, we can import data by CSV files. Right-click the target table. You can see these functions in the menu. Now we need to use the Import Data function. Click the source to select the location CSV file. The fields with the same name can be automatically matched between the source and target fields on Table Mapping tab. In the unmatched field we can select it from the drop-down box. If the source and target fields with the same order, we can choose Match in Column order to mapping them. On Table Preview tab, we can see the sample data we are about to import. Click Next, and we can check the results on Export Record tab. If the import is successful, after refresh the table we can view the data just imported. Let's view the data in this table. Double-clicking on the table name in the navigation pane quickly shows the field names and types. Right-clicking and selecting View Table Details will display the information pane on the right side, showing detailed attributes and data for this table. Switching to the Data tab, we can see all the data contained in the table. By clicking the magnifying glass, we can perform a quick global search within the table. Below is a filter box, allowing us to filter the data in the table. For example, we can search this name and click the Execute button on the right will quickly filter out the data we want to view. Data can be sorted in ascending or descending order by clicking on the field name. We can export the data of this table as CSV or Excel format using the buttons below the data. Export result data as CSV or Excel exports the sample data displayed on the current page in the corresponding format. Export online exports all the data contained in this table in the chosen format. Let's export and see the difference. The drop-down box next to the Export button represents the maximum number of rows of sample data we want to see. The default is 50 rows. We can select other numbers from the drop-down or manually enter a value. Clicking Refresh will update the data page accordingly, showing the requested number of rows and adjusting the page numbers on the right side accordingly. Alternatively, we can choose View Data in SQL Editor, which automatically generates the corresponding query and takes us to the editor. Below the editor, there is a preview of the sample data. The functionality here is the same as when viewing the data, allowing us to perform global searches, apply secondary filtering, modify individual rows, and add new data. Let's take a look at other commonly used functions available by right-clicking on the table name. First, let's explore the Generate Test Data feature, which supports data generation for all field types. This feature is very useful for developers to improve efficiency. Let's try it out. Select a created table, right-click, and choose Generate Test Data. In the pop-up window, we can set the desired number of data rows and choose whether to append or overwrite. let's try creating 10,000 test data rows in append mode. After clicking OK, the process begins. Now that we have successfully generated the data, let's take a look. Before the generation, there is no date in this table, and now there are 10,000 rows. If you want to terminate the running data generation process, we can check the specific results in the import-export records. Click Stop at the end. Additionally, if you need to create millions or tens of millions of rows of data, please adjust the software's memory settings and restart before executing the operation. Here's a helpful tip: if we choose the row number as 0 and the mode as overwrite, we can quickly clear all the data in this table. It allows us to generate SQL statement templates for various operations, such as select, insert, delete, update, and DDL. You can directly copy these statement templates and use them in the editor. Now, let's take a look at the SQL editor. The size of the SQL editor can be adjusted freely. It supports intelligent prompts while writing SQL statements, providing table name, field name prompts based on the user's input, and using color blocks to differentiate different parts of the code. SQLynx provides 3 powerful execution commands to cater to various SQL needs. The most common and straightforward execution command in SQLynx. With a simple click, you can run your SQL queries and get instant results. To improve performance and query speed, we have optimized the command. By default, the number of rows returned in a query is set to 1000. Execute raw queries for advanced users and complex queries. SQLynx offers the Execute Raw Statement feature. This allows you to run raw SQL statement directly, providing more flexibility and control over your queries. If you want to query more rows of data, you can modify the data settings in the system settings. Max rows returned by a query refers to the maximum number of rows that can be returned when executing data queries through SQLynx. Default rows of query results refers to the number of rows initially displayed when executing a query in the editor, which is set to 1000 rows by default. Let's see what happens when we modify the default query values. After saving the settings, going back to the same table and executing the same statement shows that the default result set now displays 2000 rows. Right-clicking and executing raw queries shows the result is also different from before. Let's take a look at the other functions in the menu. Handling multiple SQL queries in one go has never been easier with SQLynx's batch execution. Simply copy and paste a batch of SQL statements into the editor, and SQLynx will execute each query sequentially, and the data viewer will display the result of the last executed statement. This feature is fantastic for mass data operations and running multiple queries simultaneously. Explain is a powerful feature in SQLynx that enables developers to analyze the performance of SQL queries and assist in optimizing them. When you execute an SQL statement with the Explain execution option, SQLynx provides a detailed breakdown of how the database engine processes the query. Save allows you to save frequently used SQL statements in the Saved Queries section. The saved results can be directly modified, copied, or deleted. In addition, the right-click menu offers additional functionalities such as adding comments and creating new snippets. Each executed SQL result is saved in the Query History tab, allowing users to find the corresponding statements and directly copy them for future use. At the top menu bar, we have the Import-Export Records section, where every data import or download is logged, providing a data auditing function. Next, let's introduce the system settings. Earlier, when we added the data source, we already clicked on the Settings button, which provides access to system settings and theme settings. The data settings have been introduced just now. Let's look at the memory settings, which are also crucial. For users who need to query or generate big data, please adjust the memory settings according to your business needs. After making adjustments, restart SQLynx for the changes to take effect. Lastly, we have settings for system themes, default sorting for data tables, and other basic functionalities. This is SQLynx, developed by MySQL Software. SQLynx is truly a magical tool that makes data consumption simpler and database management more efficient. Whether you are a data analyst, developer, or database administrator, it will become your powerful assistant. Now, don't miss out and experience the magic of SQLynx. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment or email us. See you next time.